Is it working now? Hello, world.
Is it?
Hey,
Hey.
boys. Hey,
Hey,
girls.
girls.
Superstar DJs.
Here we
Here
go.
we go. All right. I mean, I think it's working. It says it's working on my computer, and I'm trying to. Yep, it looks like it's working on Twitch. So, howdy, howdy, ho, boys and girls. We're back, and we've decided to call this stream the Cutie Club because Jose, Zach, and I are indeed in a group chat called the Cutie Club, and it's such a fun name, and this is it. How you doing, guys?
Just another
Doing
beautiful day in 2021.
Yeah, another beautiful day in 2021, as it has always been. Not exactly. Anyway, any opening thoughts you guys want to share before we dive into the subject of the day, subject du jour?
no, no. I'm good. I'm just like I'm ready for this week to be over and you know,
Yeah, I feel that.
that's my most interesting comment
Just
to
feeling
make.
that hump day blues.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I am certainly glad that y'all were able to join me for a special edition of formerly Song Swap, now Cutie Club, because I know that we were all very personally touched and saddened and just left in utter disbelief Saturday morning when we found out that Sophie passed away. So, shout out Quiche Tina, four dope people counting yourself, and
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
thank you for joining. How were you guys? Where were you when you found out, and what was the first thing that you felt?
I
I
I'll go ahead.
I I woke up that morning at 5 a.m. I just couldn't sleep and I was just doom scrolling as one does in 2021. And I just saw a post from Scream. If you guys aren't familiar, Scream, very influential. Not you guys, but the proverbial you out there in Twitch, influential dubstep DJ producer. And yeah, just floored. We'll dive into it, but I followed Sophie quite closely since 2014. Had the pleasure of seeing them with you, Jose, in April 2019 for Miami Pride Week. And there's someone who's like arc as an artist, like all three of us like saw firsthand and like got attached to personally, and like yeah, it sucks. And then because I was up so early, I just had to sit there and keep reading the news cropping up and wait 3 odd hours for everybody else to wake up to like try to talk to people.
Yeah,
It's what can I mean, we're gonna find things to say about it, but like truly, what can you say?
I know. Oops. Your message in our group chat was actually how I found out. I woke up and was doing my whole it's Saturday morning, I guess I'll wake up and look at my phone, and I couldn't believe it, honestly. It was one of those moments where you just like feel the disbelief in your body. It just felt like impossible.
Yeah.
But
I found out through my friend Celia, who had messaged me that Sophie had died.
And I was the one who messaged Celia in another one of my group chats.
Oh, there you go. And yeah, I was kind of taken aback because I think both of you know how much immense of a fan I am of Sophie's work. Have been for years. We were talking yesterday about like when was the first time I encountered, or we all encountered Sophie's work, and mine was unintentionally when I first heard "Hey Cutie," which was released under the name Cutie QT, but it was actually a side project by Sophie and A.G. Cook, who were anonymously released this track with an avatar posing as and I remember that record got released through XL Records, and Pitchfork gave it like best new track, and I was just like, for some reason I was just drawn to it. I don't know if it was like the thumbnail, something drew me to it. And then I read the review and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And I listened to it and I'm like, oh, this is good.
Was it the energy drink?
Well, that was before the video came out like a year after the actual song came out. So I had heard the song way before the video came out. I actually remember watching the video for Hey Cutie at Kat's place when you lived in Cité.
Mm-hmm.
Watched it on your TV. I remember that.
Well, I think that a good place to start is with one of those early Sophie tracks. Jose, you were probably the person who introduced me to Sophie via QT and all those things. Did you pick an early Sophie track that you would like to play to kick things off?
Hold on, let me bring up my list.
I know.
A good reference.
Girl, we got a lot of them.
Nothing too early did I pick. I actually didn't pick anything early. Did anybody? I think you picked more early. You want to go Zach first? Because my stuff is more like her mid to late career.
Okay, well, let's start with an early one. Zach, what are you picking?
One of the songs I picked just for my favorite Sophie tracks was Bip. I think it was, especially like in everything that's come out over the last few days, like it's kind of universally the consensus where, you know, they took people's notice. For me, I'd heard Hard and Lemonade in the summer of 2014, but I was like, oh, this is great, love this, but I wasn't like, I need to devour every single thing Sophie puts out until I was a student at the University of Florida in Gainesville at the time, went on a road trip to Jacksonville, and my friend Carla played Bip. And I was just like, what? Like, oh, it's that same person who made like these other insane songs. Like, holy shit. Like, this is incredible. So yeah, Bip is just like, it's just the throwing down of the, like, it's a throwing down of the axe moment.
I think it was, even though it was not Sophie's first track, that was
right.
More to Say, I think. Nothing More to Say. I do think Bip was the one that really was like, everybody kind of like turned their heads around and like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, well,
because all the beats sound like they were not created by like computer.
So, with that said, Kishtina, 100%, let's all have our own what the fuck moment and appreciate Bip by Sophie. And as a disclaimer, Sophie does not have a lot of visualizers to the music. So I actually set these to a really incredible set that Sophie came out with last year called Heaven, the threes and E's, a three at the end. So all these cool visualizers come from that, and you should totally check it out. It's like 20 minutes long. Anyway, enjoy. Hey, that was actually the song that jumped into my, I don't know why I was trying to tell me that jumped into my head when I first heard the news, actually. Which is like kind of lyrically ironic. But yeah,
I mean,
shout out there.
People haven't read Stereogum's beautiful, though it was called Sophie Could Make You Feel Better. And it was true. Because their music took you places. Like, it's cheesy, but it's true. And that's why, like, there's this collective sadness right now, because it took you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what I loved about this track, and it's coming from Miami, I'm always fascinated when I hear like freestyle elements.
Yeah, totally.
Outside of Miami, because I think freestyle to me is so Miami, also Jersey and New York. I mean, that's where it's like the three areas where freestyle really came to be. And the fact that Bip sounds so much like a sped up freestyle song, you know what I mean?
Totally. With the high pitched female vocals, like I could roller skate to that jam.
Oh yeah, this is totally a Hot Wheels kind of song.
Yes.
The song came out in the wrong era, or the right era, if you think about it. You know what I mean?
Truly, Sophie's music will forever belong in a future era.
Mm-hmm.
But
there were so many. I didn't have time today, but I was hoping to read it before this chat. But there are literally multiple pieces circulating right now talking about how, like, in an era when so much pop music is like dictated by like nostalgia and like trying to be a throwback to this and trying to be a throwback to that, like Sophie was one of the true and few artists who was making something that sounded like the future. You know,
totally.
Like
I agree, but I also disagree with that somewhat. I think Sophie had a very solid foundation understanding of music, and you could hear the influences like from Britney Spears to like,
oh yeah, Aqua.
Yeah, you could hear it in their music, and
but it's still going somewhere new.
Oh yeah, no, they always took the foundation of what they knew and tried to advance it. You know what I mean? They weren't. Sophie wasn't just satisfied with imitating what had already been happening. It was like pushing it forward. You
Absolutely.
know?
And I just want to shout out, how do I say this name? L6I6 versus 69. And Lena, hello. And I'd love to hear from you all in the chat about how you feel about Sophie's music. Like, you're part of this conversation. So what do you think? Is Sophie music of the future? Is Sophie music of the now? Is Sophie music of the fourth dimension, in that it always is around us and exists in this beautiful, non-temporal way? But yeah, I totally agree. I think that Sophie did have the perfect blend of nostalgia rooted in this squeaky pop of the kind of Eurodance days, mixed with just futuristic textures and industrial noise. Really, it was like this great mix between something really cute, like maybe you took a troll doll or a Bratz doll and you melted half its face off, and it was just kind of like this ugly, terrified thing that was so cute.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, in their most recent album, it's true. Like it veers so much like between like experimental soundscapes and just like unashamed, unabashed pop. But it never like rings false. It's never like, oh, like this is the experimental like part. It just all was a complete natural picture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Quiche Tina agrees with you, Jose. Says there's that saying that everything already has been done before, and good art these days is pushing the envelope with blends of stuff that already exists, and Sophie sure knew how to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think I read Pitchfork's like kind of like tribute to Sophie, and the writer, which I think is Philippe something, I don't remember.
Philip Sherburne?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Shepard.
Yeah, he kind of said like Sophie was noise and avant-garde, yet it was always danceable.
Oh yeah, true.
Which is the weird thing. Like, Sophie understood that like you could be pop, yet you could still be like creative and inventive and forward thinking, which I think is really what pop music needs. And that was sort of the exciting thing. And, you know, that's why I was so excited when I was seeing Sophie, who I think the most famous pop collaborator Sophie had was Charlie XCX, you know, who, I mean, if you guys didn't read the very beautiful note that Charlie wrote about Sophie, basically saying that her career wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for Sophie. And that really came because of the Vroom Vroom EP that Sophie and her worked on. And definitely that EP kind of took Charlie out of like the pop machine and really set her on a course. And while Sophie, there's definitely like Charlie has worked with many other producers other than Sophie, but you can definitely see, and I think, you know, a lot of pop singers don't get enough credit. You can definitely see that Charlie's in control of her sound, and she picks the people who she wants to work with, who kind of bring her vision to life. And I think Sophie maybe gave her that like push to
right. I was just gonna say, like, the word there is like, I feel like momentum, because like you said before that, Charlie, was kind of stuck in that pop realm. And then she collaborates with Sophie, and of course you're still operating in the language of pop, but then it's going somewhere else. And so Charlie XCX can be as experimental as she wants to be. And whoever Sophie worked with did that. Like, I don't know if you guys read Vince Staples.
Yeah.
Vince Staples wrote one of the best tributes. I had no idea they were that close. And and that's what a good producer, that's what a good producer does. Is they sit in a room and like bring something out of an artist that they didn't know that they had. And Sophie did that, like both put themselves and brought the best out of others. Like I can't think of the project. for
Yeah.
that.
I want to pick up on that note. I actually chose the song Vroom Vroom, the title track from that EP. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and it is one of the few Sophie productions with an actual music video. Of course, it stars Charlie. I don't believe Sophie appears in the video. Oh,
Which was
yeah.
nothing to do with Blood Pop.
Oh,
same-
yeah. Blood
That was
Pop
meant
works
for-
a lot with Lady Gaga, in case anyone
That
out there
was
doesn't know.
that song. I forget the name of the song. Was meant for Rihanna. Anyway, I can only imagine.
Are you talking about phone sex? From
No.
okay.
No, it was released. It was released before like the album with Kill versus Mame. I can't remember it right now. Oh my god.
It's Art Angels?
Yes, it was released before Art Angel, and everybody shat on it, and she was like, just kidding, I'm gonna work on the music. You know? Anyway, point is I could imagine like I doubt that song was written for anybody else but Charlie, because obviously Charlie had a hand in writing it. But I imagine just shopping that to other artists, how they might have looked at it like, this song is corny as fuck. I'm not gonna sing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the hunk of vroom vroom?
Bitches know they can't catch me.
Yeah.
Although I can't stop saying cute, sexy, and my ride sporty. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
since the weekend.
But I think it shows just how like maybe confidence like Charlie and Sophie had in each other, that like, you know, you can do something so out there. And from what I heard is that her record company did not like the Vroom Vroom EP.
That's funny.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
joke's on
Yeah.
them, people.
Yeah, like I hadn't listened to Vroom Vroom for years until
And I think you can kind of tell because even though Sophie had a hand in all 4 tracks, towards the other ones, there are more other producers, and they tend to sound a little poppier. And I think it was maybe trying to appease the record label.
The great monsters in suits.
Yeah, to be like, there'll be more traditional songs in this album.
Look,
right?
we promise. And then which one's the hit, people?
Right.
Yeah.
I re-listened to the EP today. I meant to text you guys. Paradise literally sounds like Jimmy Eat World. And that's how you know it wasn't like mainly produced by Sophie. It sounds so much like the middle at parts. And I was like, oh yeah, I did think that
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Well, now we've come all the way back around, because 100 Gex could make a song that sounds like Jimmy Eat World, and kids would be like, I love it!
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they did push like Closer to the Edge by Linkin Park up to the top of the charts with their remix.
That's how I know I'm getting. I'm not keeping. Is that a thing? They did?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
They actually did a song recently with 303 too, which is like,
Wow.
Are you serious?
yes. And I actually don't think it's that good.
Who's next? Who's Far East Movement? Are we gonna get the Like a G6 revival?
I'm ready for like a G7. Like, let's keep it moving. But anyway, we're here to talk about Sophie. I'm here to talk about the millions of kids that Sophie inspired and will continue to inspire. And Jose, it's actually you're up to choose a song.
Well, let's keep on the Charlie train, because again, I think their collaborations were so prolific. And then although like in Charlie's vast catalog of music, I think Sophie only produced really a handful of tracks, but you could definitely, again, see the influence. And, you know, I don't know how you guys familiar of like the lost Charlie album, XCX World.
Oh, they were just saying unreleased Sophie. I didn't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the last Charlie XCX album. And it was sort of like Charlie was releasing a couple singles, including 4 in the Morning, and a single that Sophie had a hand in, which was Girls Night Out. But then there was a whole album of music. And I actually saw Charlie perform this song in LA with Sophie.
Wow.
At the Exchange in LA. And it's the song that Charlie to this day gets asked, when are you releasing? And I know recently she finally told people, you need to ask Sophie because it's not in my hands. And this was like the Charlie fan favorite, Taxi, which I gave you a version that is not really my favorite, but I think is the most complete.
Yeah.
But somebody has a sped up version, which I think sounds more like Sophie.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's official.
I had to go through that for one of my picks too.
I
don't know if
noticed
it's official either. But I picked this one because I think it's the most complete lyrically.
Yo, some uncut gems here, y'all. We're doing the unreleased Sophie. Y'all didn't know what you were in for.
Let's put it like some of Sophie's best work is their unreleased work.
Yeah.
And Sophie has a lot of unreleased material that fans, I mean, if you go to the PC Music forums, they are always talking about unreleased Sophie.
Yeah.
Google Drives,
There's tons of it out there.
Well,
there's actually a great like Hannah Diamond called HD that I love too. That there's only like a minute clip of that I wish we could hear the whole song.
I'm sure we're gonna get a deluge of unreleased Sophie material in the years to come.
Definitely.
Here's Taxi for ya. Y'all let us know what you think about this in the chat. Does it sound like a Sophie song? Does it not? It's definitely a little different.
I said it, forget it, I bet it don't make me cause a scandal.
Yo, shout out the passion. You gotta mute me, Zach. Gotta mute me. Shout out the Passion Party lyric, because my aunt used to host those and sell suburban ladies dildos.
They had me at the Shania, like, this was my first time at that. Like, did you see my, like, facial, like, reaction?
Yeah, that was pretty,
we like Shania.
pretty good.
I love that lyric.
That was good.
That lyric.
That's so good.
Because it's such a throwback, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Quarantine confessional, in my little quad pod, we've made it a thing of playing Rock Band. And
I love Rock Band.
It's great. It's a great quarantine activity.
Who's on drums?
Playing Shania's Don't Impress Me Much?
One drunken night, Katie.
That's a great song, though.
It is.
I didn't want to sing it because I didn't know the words, and like things got a little tense. And I drunkenly sang a song I didn't know the words to. I would have played.
They put them on the screen, dude.
But I don't like. I don't know that.
When this is all over, we're gonna go karaoke and we're singing that song.
I'm down.
Cool.
Say one of those guys that likes to shine your machine. I know all the words to that song.
Sorry.
Anyways, I really liked that song. Thank you for picking it, Jose. Taxi, I think it definitely sounds like a Sophie song. I hear all this like bloop 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 bloop
Yeah,
bloop.
it definitely does.
It's the best part. Yeah, I might just throw it right back into another song, because all those little like bloop 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 bloops make me think of another early Sophie song that I love. I believe it's from that same EP with Lemonade and all that jazz.
Products.
I think so. And y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Busy.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was unreleased for a long time, and Sophie would play it live, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, release it!" And I remember the day it dropped on Spotify, and I was so fucking happy because finally I got to hear this song.
I know
the way Sophie meant it.
It's
absolutely. We'll talk about that Boiler Room later, but Busy was one of those that dropped during that Boiler Room, and then when it came out, I was like, "Oh, thank God!" Now where's the rest of it?
Yeah.
Yes. It's honestly one of my favorite Sophie songs of all time. I think it's perfectly that early era PC music vibe, like angel voiced darling girl being cute about soda. Sex is maybe involved. Like it's just a choose your own adventure. Lots of visceral noises and lyrical elements.
I think the lyrics remind me of like late 90s Britney and Jessica Simpson. And because the lyrics are very innocent yet highly suggestive.
Exactly. And I noticed while listening to it the other day, prepping for this stream, that it really would mix well with Shake and Pop by Mr. Green Velvet. So, especially with the lyrics, I wonder if that was intentional. If you guys don't know Shake and Pop by Green Velvet, you should definitely listen to it. And let me know if you hear that similarity as well. And again, I made a fun little visualizer to it. So, shake it up and make it big.
We can go crazy and then pop, crazy and then pop, crazy and then pop, if that's what you wanna do.
Actually,
I made it, you guys. I made it. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, we were saying while the song was playing, like one of the things I love about I guess we could dispute like the pronunciation. Just like Busy is like also like that hint of like, even though Sophie was doing like this extreme like pop stretch like beyond your wildest imagination, there was always this like clever, undercurrent of like darkness in it. Like in Busy, it's obviously the evocative imagery of a tomato soup can. One of the songs I almost picked, Ooh, gets like very dark very quickly, but it's without missing a beat. Like it's without like being like a shine. There's a lot of shiny neon lights going on, but not like any arrows pointing, this is what this is. This is what I'm subverting.
But I think all great pop songs have a level of danger. Like, think about your favorite pop songs. Britney Spears, Toxic. The other day I was actually, and do you guys remember Willa Ford?
Yeah, from the 80s.
Mad with you, baby.
Yeah.
No, he's from like the 80s, the late 90s.
Oh,
early 2000s.
I'm sorry. I do remember Willa Ford. I was thinking of Lita Ford. No. Sorry.
I want to be bad with you, baby.
Yes. I'm kind of dressed like that era superstar. You are. Got this like whole... I covered my boobs in case you guys saw them.
You need to be like hanging outside TRL.
Exactly. I mean, I did that one time.
Did you really go to TRL?
I did. Well, I was outside. screaming. And Beyond Destiny's Child was the guest that day. And I remember my friend Michael was just like, they came to do the window thing, and honestly, standing outside for TRL is the most boring thing ever because you hear nothing. There's no screen, there's no anything. You're just standing in the street with a sign. And they were like saying hello, and my friend Michael did a middle finger, and then Beyonce went. And my friend was like, oh my God, I think she saw me. I think she saw me.
Fuck yeah.
Shout out, Bri Guy says, by the way, love you, boo.
But
I also think, we were talking during the break to Lena, you're totally right about the Princess Superstar thing. It is very reminiscent of Perfect / Exceeder, which I used to, in my day, dance to that song in the club all the fucking time, because that was the jam that you had to dance to. And it was a great song, and I do think Vizy is... Busy.
None of us know. We're assuming it's Busy. Yo, that clip, everything about what we just watched is exactly why I love Sophie. And let's start off by talking about Pony Boy as a song in that video, and then we can kind of touch on these subjects that Sophie was talking about and exhibiting in that incredible interview clip that I found. And just like, I want to be at that performance. I want to see that. I'm literally crushed that we're not going to experience Sophie in that way anymore. Yeah. But
I mean, I look back and I got to see Sophie, I think 5 or 6 times live, which is so lucky. I don't know how I managed to see such a reclusive DJ so many times live.
I know. Shout out how many times you saw Sophie. If you did, if you didn't, like, let us know if you got to experience Sophie in the flesh.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Pony Boy. But I think Pony Boy was really like, well, that and Not Okay to Cry, which kind of like spearheaded like this is Sophie, the person behind. Right. Before, you were talking about the Boiler Room set, which Sophie was using proxies to act as sort of the visual for the name. Right. But before then, nobody had really seen. But also, I think Pony Boy really established Sophie. I mean, Sophie had always been a very highly visible LGBTQ artist, you know what I mean? But this was like Pony Boy, BDSM.
Like, it's not subtext.
Yeah.
So, like this sort of like bulldozed everything and like, oh, Sophie is definitely here for the queer, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Pony Boy made you feel uncomfortable, made you feel aroused, made you feel a lot of things, you know what I mean?
Sweaty. I'm sweaty just looking at that fucking video. Oh my God. I love a bitch in elbow pads and knee pads. Like, taking it back to, I think Salt and Peppa did that as well, or definitely TLC. One of the two, maybe both, were rocking that shit. And that is sexy and dirty and filthy and fun. And I love that Sophie also was just like, I am a pop star like you've never fucking seen. Like, I'm gonna come out here doing all kinds of crazy shit. My cheekbones are just to the gods. Like, just absolutely incredible. And that song is, like I said while we were off camera, it's like having sex on a guillotine. Your heart's racing. You're like, I might die any second, but this
like
is
I said,
great.
that's a hate sex song.
Yeah, exactly.
We're pissed off, but we're gonna fuck.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if anyone out there is having a cocktail. It's almost 5 p.m. here for me in San Francisco area. So I'm going to have a cheers to Sophie. And if you're just drinking water, cheers to Sophie too. Hydrate thyself.
Yeah.
But I think there is a big story. Big part of Sophie's story is the courage to come out as the human that Sophie wanted to be, which was unlike the human anybody else was. And going back to that Vince Staples comment that was tweeted or shared on Instagram, everyone should find that. Vince said, and Vince, who has a long storied career of working with the most experimental electronic artists in the game, always uses the craziest beats in his music. Vince said Sophie never showed fear, and I thought that was such a cool thing to say. Sophie could be in the studio with anyone and everyone and just tell it like Sophie saw it and never showed an ounce of, well, I just don't know if you want to hear this or if this is to your liking. Wore what Sophie wanted to wear, was just a person like no other. So shout out fucking Sophie. That to me is the most inspiring, when someone just blazes a trail and says you can honestly do whatever you want, be whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
So shout out Sophie for that.
You're gonna make me cry. Like, can you not?
I mean, it's okay to cry, Zach. I mean, we're going to hear that song. We're not going to listen to it right now, but I do think that that was a really beautiful thing that we all had to hear after finding out about Sophie's passing too. Just like, you made a song about how it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if we can continue on this, on the oil of every pearl's on inside train, which, if you don't know, Sophie's only album, although I would debate Product was kind of an album.
Product's a collect, like it's compilation with whatever.
A lot of artists call that their debut album. That's all they fucking do. They'd be like, here's 13 hits I had in the last 10 years. It's an album.
Oil of Every Pearls is definitely considered the debut studio album by Sophie. It was, to me, when I heard it in its entirety, it was like you think you know Sophie, and then Sophie just throws a wrench into everything you want to believe. And I was actually shocked when it got nominated for a Grammy, because albums like this don't get nominated for Grammys, you know what I mean? They often go overlooked. They get like critically lauded by all the other, like the internet sphere.
When you got the news of the nomination, what was the first thing that went through your head?
I didn't quite believe it, and I certainly didn't expect it, but
You'll take it.
I'll take it for now. As my grandma told me, though, the nomination means absolutely nothing.
So here's the thing. Those interviewers didn't know what they were talking about, but we stand Sophie. Sophie had great answers. My favorite is my grandma. As my grandma said, the nomination doesn't mean anything. Oh, and I know, such a treasure, Bri guy. And I also feel that the part where Sophie says, I just want to work with the young up and coming artists who are doing something that's different, and I want to represent for things that aren't out there. I mean, that is absolutely true to Sophie's catalog, career, legacy. That will be Sophie's legacy. Just daring to truly tread where no one has walked before. Walked, flown, done a fucking pirouette on stilts, bitch. Sophie did it. Sophie did it. Anyway.
Tommy, who's in the chat, saying that the interviews, you think that would be part of the prep for the gig, which true, but I also have to feel something for them. They probably interviewed
so many people.
That's true.
So many They probably were there to interview every nominee, which could have been in the hundreds. You know what I mean?
And while I don't think this gives you a pass because Sophie looks like nobody else, but like sometimes like you're not gonna know who like best mixing engineer nominee is. Like no one walks the Grammy red carpet with a name tag. Although maybe one day if I ever get the chance, I will. That would be pretty silly. And I'll just write Diplo instead.
No, but during the break we were talking about our Sophie live stories, and you had a great one with that.
Oh, yes. Well, this is one of my favorite stories to share, and I'm not making it up. But I was in New York City, and Sophie was playing a show at the MoMA. And shout out Good Droid 305 fam gave me a ticket. Yeah, she couldn't go. And I was there by myself. I was traveling at the time, and I was in line, and the bouncer walked by and was just like, you have to come with me. You don't belong here, and walked me inside the club. So, woo, I'm just, just so cute. But it was great because at that show, much like many Sophie shows, if you were lucky enough to see one, half the time the audience is just standing around scratching their head because they're listening to weird noise arrangements. And me and this guy I met while we were there were just like, people were like, what is this shit? And we were like, it's Sophie. So that was nice. But...
No, and I've seen Sophie 5 times, which was 3 points. Then I saw her in LA. Then was the Over and Under event. Then it was the Pride ICA event. And then it was the Grimes Basel party.
That's like such a great lineup.
All 5 of those events was a different Sophie. Like Sophie's set was never, and I remember Tommy, I think, was with me, who's TLAC 305 with the Active Grimes event. I'm like, oh, Sophie's going to do this and this and that, and delivered something completely different. It was definitely something that was not expected. And that's what I loved about, the way they went about yes, Tommy, that was a psychic TV fiasco.
Ooh, sounds like a good story.
No, he was just, I don't think Tommy was into it,
Oh, okay.
Tommy was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But that was the first time I think I heard Spliff in My Ear too, which is on my,
we could go into that next, yeah.
Yeah, which is an unreleased Sophie track featuring, oh my God, hold on. There's like 3 features on this, and I want to give them due.
Refuse to play Hamburger Lady. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's Bibi Borelli.
Yes.
I believe wrote Bitch Better Get My Money, if I'm not mistaken, for Rihanna. And Charlie, and I don't have the name of the rapper that's on the track, but if you know who that is.
Well, BC Kingdom's on Reason Why, which I thought.
Oh. Well, listen, we can do both. We'll do both. Let's go with Spliff in My Ear first. But I also want to shout out Kishtina for seeing Sophie at Coachella. That sounds fucking crazy. You should drop some more info about that show in the chat because I want to know what that was like. What year was that? What was going on with the stage? Like, was that when Sophie was like, you don't know me, bitch? Or was that when Sophie was like, I'm a pop star, I do dance moves? Like, I don't know. I'm very jealous of that. And shout out that Boiler Room set. I know we mentioned it briefly, but the Boiler Room set is truly Sophie canon. Like, you must.
To me, it's iconic and it's the legend. It's a lore now. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was the thing that made me a hardcore fan. Like, hearing the songs like on their own, and I don't know if we want to touch on this now or later, but like, I know this might like come as a shock to you guys, but like, when Sophie was releasing her original singles, I wasn't even 21 yet. So I was listening to Sophie sorry. But I was listening to Sophie before I ever properly plugged, and like that, both their music and
before you properly plugged? What the fuck does that mean?
Plugged.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Where are you putting the drugs that you're plugging them with?
If I was going to a venue, I still had a little translucent tattoo sticker thing on my hand that like let people know that I wasn't of legal age. But like that Boiler Room set in 30 minutes of just like this, I'll talk about one of my interests. This pop taking you to such heights, like, informs so much of my idea of like what clubbing and like underground dance music.
During that set, they played the song that I love the most from that era, which was later released with a Japanese artist who doesn't come, which is Be Who I Want to Be.
Yes, what is her name? Haruki. I'm saying it wrong. She's the AI girl.
No, but it's two people.
Oh, I thought there was that one.
I'll look it up in the break. It has been officially released. It's on Spotify.
Oh,
it's on a Japanese. It's on a Japanese album. It is, but it's different from the song she played in Boiler Room because that was a demo, and then the official release came with new vocals and Japanese vocals because a Japanese artist did it. Yeah. But also, it's actually a very good. I love that track. It's one of my favorite Sophie tracks. I don't have it on the list, but if you haven't listened to it, I definitely recommend listening to it. Yeah. I'll look up the artist during the break and I'll let you know.
And let's not miss that detail that at Coachella, Sophie acted as a statue and just let a bunch of fucked up face fuck visuals get everyone blood pumping. Like, that sounds amazing. I hope it was in a tent. All right, so what was the song we were gonna play? Spliff in My Ear?
Spliff in My Ear.
Here we go.
Banging so hard, damn, I gone wild with baby. Turn it up loud, wild in the car with Sophie.
Sounds pretty fucking legendary.
Legendary, darling. We're back.
I will also say...
We're back. Yes, Chaotic Beats, I love you. Lena, you're probably gone, but we loved your presence here. And Kishtina, are you eating pasta right now? I went and got snacks. I know her name is Christina, but I like Kishtina.
I'm on keto, so I can't eat chips.
Yeah, how's that been going for you?
We know, Jose.
You know, an all fat diet sounds like awesome the first few days. Then after a while, you really, yeah.
I know Bry Guy knows about that keto life if he's here in the chat, but
yeah, Amy, he was the one that kind of shouted out to me. He's like, because I was complaining, he's like, "You're dehydrated." That's why. So I quickly followed his advice. So Bry Guy, thank you very much for the advice.
Oh my God,
out.
Christina's on a crazy marathon with food, coffee. I love it. Oh. Well, so what were we talking about while we were in the green room there? I know we said all kinds of smart stuff.
By the way,
we're had in the green room.
To follow up, like Be Who I Want to Be, it was later released as a proper song. I think the song was what we heard in the Boiler Room was a demo that got shopped around and it was sung by Nami Amuro featuring Hatsune Miku, which is
Miku. That's what I was trying to think. That's the AI girl.
The AI thing. There's a video for the song.
Damn.
Do you send it? Do you send that shit to me?
I'll send it to you. It is great. I actually love. I love the demo, but I also love the later song that Nami Amuru sang to. Brian is saying I'm creamy meatballs with hearts of palm spaghetti.
I love that everyone's telling us what they're eating. Please continue.
Let's exchange recipes later, Brian.
Ooh, yeah.
So
I remember what you were saying that I wanted you to say on camera. We were talking about, you were like, people don't talk about how great of a hip hop producer Sophie was. And we were like, yo, Sophie could do everything. And you were like, I feel that what we were really robbed of was the chance to see Sophie work with bigger and bigger artists and move the needle on the mainstream further towards this, like, this just new exploratory realm where you can play weird shit on the radio and kind of break down the boundaries of what's expected. And I think you're totally right. I think Sophie was definitely going to work with bigger and bigger artists. And we don't know what Sophie was working on, honestly. Like, we might learn some things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the first inclination, her working with pop artists was the Madonna, which was a disaster of a track. But I don't really think I don't think it's really Sophie's fault entirely. that track was a disaster.
I mean,
no, I think it was a lot of other people's fault. It was just, it's not a good track. But then you saw the work with Vince Staples, Charlie.
Yeah, I'm sure making a track for Madonna, like regardless of whether it's remembered or not, is like the world just opened for you. Like you just walked through some sort of like golden light. Door opened and you're like, you mean I can work with anyone here? I don't know.
Yeah. But then, you know, you heard like the stuff she did, that one track she did with Liz, If I Can Rule the World.
But, oh my God. That was one of the ones that I wanted to like submit. When I Rule the World is so fucking good. It is so fucking good.
Talk about one of those. It's also, I mean, that song is technically about like BDSM, you know what I mean?
Back at it.
About, like, you know, you kneeling at her and being like her puppy dog, essentially, you know what I mean? And she's like, I'll call you daddy, you know?
Yeah, give the dog a bone.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, that song is about BDSM masquerading as a sugary pop song. You know what I mean?
After I graduated college, I was a DJ. This actually just came to mind for me, but I was a DJ at FSU student radio station V89, and there were a few times I got to take over it was called Club Convergence. It was I forget what day of the week it was, but I got to take it over a few times. And without fail, every single time in some form or another, I had a Sophie track. I remember I did I dropped Vizey in one of them, and I know for a fact I dropped like When I Rule the World in one of them. Don't know how it went over, but I was
Yeah, it's terrestrial radio. You can't see their faces.
In like, that shit sucks.
Oh, I did. Oh my God. Unrelated to Sophie, but I got one night where it was explicitly like, I sent this to you guys the other day. Like I played all 80s, like whether it was post-punk, new wave, goth, dark wave. I just did all 80s. Then I got someone calling them, like, can you play Kurt Vile? And I was like, no, it's not.
No,
like,
bitch.
It's my 4 hours. Like, I explicitly built a theme for the last 2 hours. No.
Can I tell you my DJ experience? I've DJ'd live once.
Was I there?
I don't know if you were. It was at the Wynwood Diner that I got to do a guest set.
I feel like I remember this happening, but I don't know if I was there.
Tommy actually helped me prepare, and I was like, I'm gonna play everything I want. I should have not, maybe, because like it was Wynwood Diner. It's not exactly the most progressive like place to play. But I played a lot of PC music.
I love it.
And I remember at one point, like, a guest came up to me and said, "Can you play Prince?" And
I was there. Like, I remember this.
I love Prince. I would have played Prince, but I had just had all my tracks because I was so new. I was so new that I didn't really want to experiment, and I had even sequenced everything beforehand, so I could, you know, it could be as easy for me as possible, you know. And so I was like, I would, but I can't.
See, the thing is, I'm a DJ on training wheels, you see, and exactly. I just don't have that queued up right now.
Yeah, like that's way above my skill level.
Shout out that song "Walk Around Like You're Bigger Than Prince," which is extra funny because everyone's bigger than Prince. He was very short. Yeah. Which I think is another Green Velvet song. Anyway, yeah, shout out to R.I.P. Wynwood Diner. They don't exist anymore.
Did they close, Tommy?
I don't know. He out here saying they did, but maybe it's just shady.
Yeah, they did. They did permanently close.
I barely left my stretch of Miami and my little stretch of
as you shouldn't have.
I'm told that Wynwood is like back to pre-pandemic levels.
Oh yeah.
Of activity. So you won't find me there anytime soon.
Gross. That's why we all hang out at the Cutie Club now. Yeah. Here, online, with all our cuties.
If you want to be a cutie, subscribe,
like, follow, come back. Actually, I do want to say that Zach, Jose, and I have decided that we're going to do Cutie Club quite casually, quite regularly. And we want to keep it with themes. So if there's anything you guys would like to see, if you'd like to see an exploration of another artist's catalog, going deep in that, or just genre related, like we were all talking about post-punk, we were talking about doing Electroclash next time, we're talking about could totally do a goth night. Like, we're
I
down
wanna do
to.
Clash, I think that where an Electro Clash jumped the shark, not to get the thing, was the Kelly Osbourne song.
Oh my God! Wait, which
Wait,
Kelly
there's
Osbourne? I remember
Yeah,
she did
but-
Daddy. She covered Madonna. Papa Don't Preach.
It was when Kelly Osbourne tried to take herself more seriously. That's for another day.
All right, we'll get there. We'll get there. That's another Cutie Club.
Not only did Kelly Osbourne have an artistic phase, but she had a self-serious artistic phase as well.
It wasn't. I'm being facetious, but
Definitely drum and bass Cutie Club.
I love drum and bass. That's a great.
We gotta stick with our 305 roots and everything. But that being said, let's mix it up and come to the next cutie track. Zach, I know you had one queued up. Speaking of DJs,
I love this song, by the way. I love this. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, Sophie track.
I didn't know you feel that
big
way about
words.
it. We were just talking about our live Sophie experiences, and it breaks my heart. Like, I'm grateful, but also like it breaks my heart that I only got to see Sophie once, and I went with Jose to see them at ICA Miami. They did a DJ set here in April 2019 for Miami Pride Week. I just remember there was so much like hubbub. Like, Jose, do you remember there was even rumors spreading in the crowd among like, they missed their flight. Sophie's not per flight. That was a real like thought that was happening. Like,
it was all BS.
Such a diva. They're not even going to show up.
Sophie was there.
Sophie was there, and in a big way. But it was a DJ set. It wasn't a live set.
I just remember me and Zach like going like ape shit in the crowd. We basically started. Subscription.
Thank you so much, Christina. Yay!
Thanks, Christina. I'm gonna do that like without fail.
But I just remember me and Zach starting our 2-man mosh pit in the middle.
Oh my God, yes! I love that mosh pit at the art museum.
I've been waiting 5 years to see Sophie in live in some capacity, but I had a soul crushing job we don't have to get into at the time, and I was a few years behind on my Sophie output, and I heard this song, and it's called Reason Why. It's a collaboration with Kim Petras and BC Kingdom.
Can I tell you, Kim's vocals on this track is the chef's kiss.
All of it. But
like, she really, I love how, I know they're pitched up at some point.
Yes.
But oh my God, her vocals.
Y'all try to keep it in your pants while we listen to this track. Have you even said what it's called?
Yeah, wait,
okay.
Hold the phone. This track it's just like a perfectly produced pop song, but it's got that that percussive punctuation that's so emblematic of Sophie. I played it like it has heart. It's both perfectly produced and it has heart. And I got shivers the other night, like walking around outside, like listening to it and remember those live moments where you heard a song that you really loved and losing your fucking mind that you were hearing in a context where you could just completely be yourself and move your body in strange ways that's honest to your feelings about that song. That was how I felt when Sophie played Reason Why that night with Jose. I lost my fucking mind.
And this song reminds me a lot of like early 90s hip house, you know what I mean? Like, call me Mr. Raver. Call me
Mr. Bein. Oh my God, I was singing that song the other day. I love it.
Yeah, this is what that song reminds me a lot about. Just to go like, Sophie definitely understands the foundations of where dance music and electronic music has come from. And Reason Why is a great example of that.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into it. No time like the present.
Hi Sophia, I'm Sophie. I'm a pop star.
Me too, Sophie.
Me too, Sophie.
Yeah, me too.
I love that Sophie was interviewed by Sophia the Robot. I'm a big fan of Sophia the Robot, Hanson Robotics. Hanson Robotics has been working for more than a decade to create empathetic robots that read the emotions on our face and feel with us. And I thought it was so cool that Sophie and Sophia the Robot did an interview together. You can watch the whole thing. It was created by Dazed Magazine, obviously, but there's a lot of Sophia talking, but there are some other good Sophie gems. Anyway, is it cold? in the water. That's a good song too. And I really liked the Flume remix on the Hi, This Is Flume mixtape. And I had the chance to interview Flume for Billboard when that was Grammy nominated. And I said, what was it like working with Sophie? And he was like, it's really incredible, but it's so fucking loud because Sophie just read lines in the studio all day. So I thought that was a good Sophie nugget.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can see from the response, like, oh, by the way, Bret Michaels even wrote something. Do you guys see that?
Incredible. What did Bret Michaels write?
You're lying.
Yes, I saw something. It was the most random thing. I saw it. Oh my God. I want to look.
It was my rock of love.
No, it was just like, to everybody who knew Sophie, I feel for you. You know what I mean?
I feel like Bret Michaels was tweeting for the clout. I don't believe that.
I'm pretty sure he just did, but he goes, our hearts go out to the family, friends, and fans of Sophie. A true innovator, rest in peace. How did Bret Michaels?
Yo, you don't know. Maybe they had one crazy fucking night out in LA together and they were just like, cocaine.
Maybe Bret Michaels loves Sophie. Maybe, is that hard to believe?
What?
Yeah, have you seen Rock of Love? Yeah.
Maybe Bret Michaels was a Sophie fan.
He might have been like Sophie sexual. We don't know.
Down on us, knowing that Bret Michaels was a Sophie fan.
Yeah. Well, shout out Bret and all.
I think
Sophie
fans. From the vast quantity of people who have like eulogized them in the last few days, you can see like how influential Sophie really was. I mean, I didn't really realize how influential. Like I knew Sophie was doing something. I didn't realize everybody else knew too.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when you look at the pop landscape today, it's unmistakable that Sophie has been an integral player because, as I mentioned earlier, 100 Gex, they're one of the most popular bands in existence right now with the kids and the pop music and all that shit.
And
you know 100 Gex was not going to exist without Sophie. Like, that whole thing, I mean, what Charlie's doing, we already talked about how Sophie helped lead Charlie down the road that she's on now. Not that she's not her own person, but... And even with electronic music as well, Flume just mentioned it. Like the whole Future class, I know Wave Racer worked with Sophie and was immensely influenced by the music Sophie made. And I think that we're only going to continue to feel Sophie's influence as we go on.
I don't know if you know too that locally Bayside, the two
Bayside, yeah.
Bayside. Why did I say Bayside?
Because it sounds like ass.
Bayside worked with Sophie too. They have a couple of released tracks.
Oh my God.
Didn't Veronica share those videos? Yeah, I saw
that.
But there's some bootlegs out there, although I'm very interested to finally hear those songs out in the wild if they ever do. I don't know why they were never released. Maybe one day we'll get to listen to them, but I'm very excited for those tracks too.
Absolutely.
But speaking of pop, do you want to pick your track, which I think is emblematic of like, I think a lesser artist would have been called Sellout. What eventually happened to that track? You know which one I'm talking about?
Wait, what happened to it?
Your pick.
I mean, I know what my pick.
It was a McDonald's commercial.
Oh, I forgot about that because I think my brain just like didn't want to. Gross.
But I think actually that's like a perfect example of how Sophie was almost like Warhol-esque. She they believe, that music was for everybody, even for the masses.
Yes.
And even through sugary, fatty meals, you still deserved a good tune. You know what I mean?
You did. Yeah, you do. And you still do. And it's for the kids. And this song, if you haven't already guessed, is called Lemonade, Lemonade. What does she say? Natty Boys? I don't know what she says. Mickey D's. Mickey D's. All right, whatever. This is the song.
Just know when I'm with you, everything's okay. I get that kissing feeling, and I want lemonade.
I want lemonade. It's Candy Boys, guys. Love it. I love music that makes me feel like I can feel it. Like, ooh, it's fizzing on my face. Ooh, it tickled my nose.
I mean, I think you quoted me in your nootropic things that how I said it, like it's abrasive and then so sweet, sugary sweet. that it almost rot your teeth. This is really an example of that. It was so. Yeah. It's almost like, oh my God, you feel like your teeth are gonna fall out.
Yeah, it's so true. Saccharin. I like to use the word saccharin in that instance.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad knowing you read what I actually write. That's comforting.
I do read what you write.
Yeah, what was that like weird, like shady, backhanded shade?
I don't know. I don't
It's the opposite. Normally I ask Zach if he reads what I write. And
then I give you a firm answer. And
it's no, bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I haven't read it yet. I'm like, okay, Zach.
You don't even know. There was like a 2-month period where I was like, Zach, listen to this song that Philippe and I made. And he was like, read 70 emails and text messages before I ever get around to it. Which, Jose, I'll have to share it with you now. The only reason why we share it with Zach is because Philippe knows Zach. And Philippe was a little like scared of sharing it. But I want you to hear it.
Met me hearing my favorite selectors on the, so like Philippe has seen, like Philippe's first impression of me was literally me at like peak music enjoyment.
That's true. We need to bring him back to Miami so we can all hang out more.
If the users don't know, Philippe is Kat's beau.
He made this.
What did I say? Oh, is that a P-Town original?
P-Town original. Yeah. It's true. Anyways, that was fun.
Let's continue on this Sophie pop beat. I know, Zach, your choice was next.
Ooh, Lauren, thanks for following.
Just we alluded to it earlier, but I'd say my fandom of Sophie was a gradual, like, hearing Lemonade and Heart, summer of 2014, finally hearing Bip. And then there was this, it's not even on YouTube anymore, which is fucking insane and tragic, but you can find it on Dailymotion because I rewatched and listened to it. But
we might have to like compile a further reading notice newsletter or something for the kids after this. Because
for me too, because I encountered shit that I didn't get to digest in full. But I don't know if it came out, I think it came out in 2015, but Hudson Mohawk curated this Boiler Room set in collaboration with Ray Bans, and every artist had like a Eric Wareheim intro, some very 2015, before we knew how bad it was going to get. Everything is carefree and silly and stupid.
Yeah.
But the Sophie said they sent up a doppelganger, and again, like I heard that, I distinctly remember listening to it in my girlfriend's like Tallahassee house at the time, like pre-Bonnaroo, before I'd like properly been to a rave. And it's just like a 30-minute set of just like the most like unabashed pop, like punching you in the fucking face, like mixed expertly. And this song came from that set. And like part of the reason I fell in love with, I love Sophie for so many reasons, but part of it was bridging the gap of like shit I loved as a child. Like as a kid, I loved like Believe by Cher and like other pop songs that like as a music snob and as an indie kid, like I later wrote it off. And then Sophie comes along and is like, no, like it's like pop can be like just as and also don't even get me started, this song has like vocal flourishes, kind of like Waiting for Tonight by J-Lo, another like
love it.
I don't remember now what song this was.
Huh?
I don't remember what song this was now that you're describing.
Oh, UV Love. It's the.
Oh yes, we were talking about this yesterday because it's her and Richard X.
Right.
Who I think is at the time he's kind of sunsetted, but like the early 2000s was sort of like Richard X's like era. He was like an in-demand producer. He worked like with Gwen Stefani, Madonna, I think. The Sugar Babes, a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
They're they're like a UK all-girl group.
I was being facetious. I know.
Right. And I think you can definitely hear Richard X on this track. It's definitely a Richard X track and Sophie minds melding together.
Yes. But for a younger Zach, hearing this, it's just, for me, a perfect crystalline representation of, like, just how big and bold pop can be. And as someone who, like, was a music snob, and then hearing this and being like, it's okay to like pop music, that was revelatory for me. And it just opened up my world, both, like, reconciling loving Cher in J-Lo as a little kid and realizing that it can be okay to like things that sound like pop too. Sophie just opened up whole new worlds of music, both in their creations and what they expanded other people's possibility. Like what they expanded, like other people could conceptualize. Like.
Absolutely.
And I think the song embodies that fully.
Well, let's get into it. Ultraviolet Love, y'all.
There's a lot of confusion around how genuine pop music is and experimental music. I try to imagine a hyper-real world of sounds that we're sometimes used to from blockbuster films and that kind of thing. Sounds which cartoonize and exaggerate naturally occurring or organic sounds and phenomena and materials that don't exist at the moment. An example would be that there's like a piano that's mountain size high, and imagining what the sound of that piano would be if the string was that large.
Again, an absolute genius. And I didn't plan it exactly for that interview bit to come right after Ultraviolet Love, but I think it was the perfect thing to follow, talking about how you were saying, like, people would argue, like, is pop music authentic? Is it art? And Sophie absolutely proved that, yes, pop music can be some of the most exciting art. And I think it's actually true that it has been throughout the decades, but for whatever reason, in hindsight, you don't consider. 80s pop is a great example, and we kind of separate new wave and synth pop from pop itself. But when you consider how popular bands like Depeche Mode really were to the mainstream listener, like, you can't tell me that Depeche Mode isn't one of the most exciting experimental things. And why do we draw a line? Why do we say there has to be a line?
Well, and I also think it goes like, what Zach was saying, like he was ashamed of liking Cher's Believe It.
Yeah.
And I think there is that kind of growth that comes. Some people don't ever grow out of it, but realizing like what I liked as a child is fundamental to who I am, and evolved my musical taste. Like as a kid, I remember I was so into Ace of Base. Ace of Base was my fucking thing. Like The Sign, that album was like.
And pretty close to in the vibe of, like, I think where Sophie draws a lot of inspiration from in the sounds. Yeah,
you could those Swedes just had me.
Them Swedes, they did it.
And I think there is recognizing that there's legitimacy to pop music, and I think that's why you're seeing like Ariana Grande today is now critically acclaimed. Where I think like 10 years ago she would have been like.
Oh my God. 10 years ago, I was seeing her at my local froyo.
Yeah, true, right? Because she's a Boca girl.
I'm saying if the Ariana Grande of today existed 10 years ago, Pitchfork would not be writing nice things.
No.
Yeah.
Like Taylor Swift and all the critical acclaim she got from this like sleepy album she just did now.
That's what it's called, right? Sleepy time tea.
Yeah, I don't like it, but that's just I understand why other people like it. It's not my cup of tea. Yeah. I don't like that whole Bon Iver shit. You know what I mean?
It's Bon Iver, sir.
Whatever.
Like
it's Bon Iver, okay. It's Bon Iver, actually.
What I would give for that ignorance, I would trade back all of the knowledge I've accumulated over the last year just to think that his name is Bon Iver again.
Bon Iver. It means good winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never thought about that really. Anyway.
What's French for bad again?
Mal.
It's been a Molly-ver.
Molly-ver.
That's a bad. Go to your corner, Zach. That's a bad joke.
I don't know how to say funny. Ba. Anyway, Zach, what was that link that you dropped in the chat? You just dropped it. You didn't tell anybody what it was.
Yeah.
Drôle. C'est drôle.
So I just encountered this. I know it's gained traction from apparently, according to the PC Music subreddit, Sophie's brother, but just looking at the headline, fans petition NASA to name planet in Sophie's memory. If you're into that sort of thing and would like to see Sophie memorialized, literally like in the most mythic way possible, befitting of their life and conscience, like from beginning to end, just a complete mythic figure.
Yeah, I'm gonna sign that. It's a petition, you said?
Yeah, petition to name a planet in Sophie's memory.
It almost has 42,000 signatures.
Oh, well, we gotta push it. We all have to sign our name because that would be the sickest.
Y'all, the 9 people singing.
Yeah, exactly. Sign your names. People are gonna watch it after. People are gonna watch it after. Sign their names. Yeah, and I also wanted to mention, you know, I was going to mention this right before leaving, but since we're talking about memorializing, there's who is it that's selling the t-shirt that I linked you guys? I'll drop it in the chat, but there's a t-shirt being sold by Sophie's label or someone who is releasing music with Sophie, and all the proceeds are going to support trans youth groups, and it's beautiful. It's got this really, it's a black t-shirt with this kind of ghostly image of Sophie bent over Dex, hair in the face. On the front and on the back, it says Sophie in the very iconic Sophie type font that we didn't even talk about yet. And then it has the year Sophie was born and 2021, and I think some song lyric. I think it says it's okay to cry. So it's like $25. It's a good cause. I bought it. I can't wait to rock it. So if you're interested in supporting and showing your love for Sophie as we continue down this life, which doesn't feel Sophie-less, it's really nice to all be together and listen to Sophie music and chat about how much we love Sophie, but it's really weird thinking that like a year from now, I don't know, you know? I mean, Sophie's legacy is going to last forever and we're never going to escape the impression, but it's just really weird to think that we're not going to get what we thought we were.
Yeah. Well, I have one more track of mine that I want to play, which is Sophie's collaboration with Jimmy Edgar, which came out last November. It's called Metal, and Jimmy Edgar and Sophie had kind of collaborated a lot before.
Yeah.
So I think they also collaborated on Burn Rubber, if I'm not mistaken. Which trivia, the original lyrics were sung by Sarah of Caro Caro Bonito.
Oh, fun.
Oh, sorry, or by Sarah from Caro Caro Bonito on Burn Rubber. A lot of people think it's a Charlie track, and it's not. Although the beats for Burn Rubber were later used for Charlie's song Roll With Me on her #1 Angel.
Oh, interesting.
Hence why you actually hear those two songs, Burn Rubber and Roll With Me. Sophie often mixed the two songs together during set. Actually, that night we saw her at ICA, she put Burn Rubber and followed up with Roll With Me, because actually it's the same beat in both songs. They're using the same beat. Anyway, I think this was, Jimmy Edgar actually wrote a beautiful thing about Sophie too, because honestly, they were very good friends.
Oh yeah, I saw that where he was talking about just having spoken to Sophie on the phone.
Yeah, and I think this collaboration of theirs is just like the epitome of what they both bring to the table, and it's a great track. And when I listened to it, I loved it. You know. And
if you're a Sophie fan and you haven't explored Jimmy Edgar's catalog, definitely do so, because so much of the stuff that you love about Sophie's music, you're gonna find and appreciate in Jimmy Edgar's music as well. So, I mean, this is a jumping off point. Sophie is the beginning of a long road of incredible music and sound and visual and experience. So don't let this be the end of anything for you as a Sophie fan. For us, you know, it's really sad. I know we're all gonna cry before this is over, but let's dive in. And this one kind of separates from the pop track we were just on, right? This one's like a little darker.
Definitely hard. I mean, it definitely lives up to its name, Metal.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Cool. All right, here we go. somber moment back here, and then right when we're coming back on camera, Zach's like, "Look at this Tyrannosaurus eraser I got with my Steely Dan pants."
Triceratops.
You gotta mute me. There's
Yeah,
an echo of my dumb Steely Dan voice. Anyway, you guys, thank you, Christian D. Klein, for the follow, by the way. That was exciting. Yeah, that, I was just saying, like, this is one of my favorite sides of Sophie. This, like, metallic, just, I keep saying the word textural, and Sophie's music was so great because the production, it's so layered, it's so crisp. Like, I feel whether it's a round sound or a spiky sound or a wet sound.
I think what Sophie did two things very well, which was create noises that sounded like they were sampled from real life objects, but were actually created on a computer.
Yeah.
So it sounds like rubber stretching. It sounds like pots being banged, but nothing of this was
stretched. Yeah.
Nothing of this was recorded like let me go bang on some pots and then manipulate it. No, this was like stuff. And then she also had the foresight to let things breathe.
Yeah.
So if Sophie's work at times could be overwhelming, but it was to the point that it took you to the edge, but you didn't go over because there was a lot of space around everything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I think you're totally right. I think that the space in between, even just the layers of noise, I mean, you can feel it. Like, it feels like it was weaved together in this way. What is that? Chiaroscuro? What does that mean? I don't know that word.
Tommy, we're dumb. You're going to have to explain.
Chiaroscuro.
It's the strong contrast between light and dark.
Ah, yes. There, exactly it.
Yeah.
Exactly it. Caravaggio, yeah. That's the painter, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's what really, like, when there's absence of noise in a Sophie track, it makes you realize of like how loud it was, you know what I mean? And Sophie knows how to like take away noise and then reintroduce back very abruptly to the point that that's when you realize like the dichotomy of what's being like pumped into your ears, When
you said that, it really, I'm now seriously gonna cry because it was like, it's the absence of Sophie's noise that's gonna make us realize how loud Sophie really was,
Stop.
I'm sorry. I didn't really mean to do it. I just am. But yeah.
But I think, like you said, I think Sophie inspired a lot of work, and I think we're gonna hear a lot of. Well, I think twofold. There's gonna be a lot of unreleased work we haven't heard.
So much. Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of bootlegs out there, and I think full-fledged of those tracks we'll see whether the Sophie estate decides to ever do anything with them. They could very well, it could have been Sophie's desire never to have the music released, and they might honor that. But I do think we're going to see a lot of posthumous releases.
Posthumanist sounds right. Sophie was post-human.
Definitely. And on top of that, I think like 100 Gex, like Jimmy Edgar, like Charlie XCX, like a bunch of other things, you're going to see Sophie's influence live on.
Absolutely.
So,
I'll just repeat like what I said to you guys, what I've said to like everybody talking about this and trying to make sense of it. Is just like, as someone who followed them for a long time, like it didn't occur to me that like Sophie was a pioneer until like this news broke, like it was just a producer who was enigmatic, who released amazing music, had a lot of mystery around them, and then became a pop star. But then the second they passed away, like this narrative crystallized and locked in place of this enigmatic producer who came out and like reshaped pop culture and music, being the most truly think about that, like the most visible trans musician up to this point, full stop, no questions asked, and reshaped music and pop culture in their image by sheer force of will and individuality. but because life was happening, you couldn't see it that way. It was just, we were appreciating their work.
And I think it's definitely important to acknowledge, like, Sophie's transness was inherently part of her, their, at least, art. And there have been a lot of LGBT musicians, producers, artists who think about, like, Wendy Carlo, who is also probably the next most famous trans producer. I don't know if you know who Wendy Carlo is.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah, soundtrack Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, but I mean, they never. I think once they came out like as trans,
they were written off. They were written off.
And Sophie was able to really, like, I mean, sometimes when artists come out of trans, that ends up like being the end of their career because the mainstream. But that only seemed to energize.
Yeah.
Sophie dragged the rest of the mainstream to their world.
Yeah.
Sophie forced the world to look at who they were and know that there were more people like them, and that, like, this is who I am. This is my individuality, and I'm going to exist, like, free of your standards and your confines, however I see fit.
And I mean, we're three cis people. We'll never know what I think that means to see somebody. No. And, but I think, a lot of trans people can see a role model in Sophie, you know what I mean? And that's wonderful. I think that's great. I don't know what it is not to feel represented like that. You know?
I loved that bit in the Sophia the Robot interview where Sophia said, what would you do if you could be invisible for a day? And Sophie just said, I'm all about visibility right now, actually. And it's just so great. It's hard to end the stream because I know that it almost, for me, it feels a little final. It's kind of like, okay, we're putting a pin on something, but it's definitely not final. Final thoughts, though, for the stream. I will share this one story. It's so dumb, but I think about it often. And, of course, I thought about it when I found out. But, I now live in the Bay Area. And, thank you. This was fun and sad but great. Looking forward to more Cutie Club chats. Yay! Well, let us know what you'd like to see as a subject. We're super here for it, and we love you dearly.
Love you, Christina.
But yeah, I live in the Bay Area now, but I used to visit a lot often before I moved here this past summer, and I was eating sushi at this place with Bry Guy Says, who I don't know is still in the chat, and it was before Sophie came out as transitioning, and I was sitting there eating this sushi, and this person like sat with their friends at the table across from us, and I just kept thinking, like, I swear to God that person is Sophie, but it's a woman, so, like, I don't know, and I wanted so badly to just, like, as we were leaving, just be like, I don't know if you're who I think you are, but if you are, I just want you to know that you are a fucking ray of light, and I love everything about you, and thank you so much for everything. And I didn't, and then, like, 2 weeks later, Sophie came out as transitioning, and I was like, holy fucking shit, I was eating sushi in the same restaurant as Sophie.
Can I tell you I have too many Sophie stories. First, I remember when Sophie attended, I think it was during their time in 3 Points, and Sophie attended the Booty Bounce House party.
Oh my God, amazing. Love that party.
There's photos of Sophie there. And that was when they did the papaya eating contest. And
you mean when I won the papaya eating contest?
No, this was not
the year I won.
It's another year. And I just remember Sophie having this smirk, not knowing what was happening. It's the most Miami thing.
It totally, yeah.
Shout out to Veronica Gessa. She puts on that party with Otto. And Sophie was there, and I just think Sophie was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Love it.
But at the same time, I had this like smirking of being like, yes, fuck yes,
Yeah.
Also, that's the first time I got to see Sophie and David Spinopoli. I was about to call him Spinopoli, which would be...
That's a good name, honestly.
That name all these years.
That should be it.
He's like, oh, do you want to meet Sophie? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to meet Sophie. And this is, I actually met Sophie twice. I met Sophie over and under too, but this was the first time.
Oh, with Katie?
Yes. Because I actually have a personal not a personal connection with Sophie. I'll talk about this in a little bit, but so I was like, fuck yeah. And he leads me in the backstage area, which is like this maze of like curtains that they have like as mini green rooms. And we're going through, I think he's lost and we're just kind of like,
it's a Spinal Tap moment.
Yeah, it's like, we're just like wandering. And finally we reached like the area where Sophie's at. And it was pitch dark and there was like a light behind Sophie. So all I could see was Sophie's silhouette.
Presence.
And I was blinded by like this light that was like the spotlight behind Sophie. So again, all I saw was Sophie's outline. And David goes like, oh, Sophie, this is my friend, Jose. He's a really big fan of yours.
Oh my God.
Really the reason I even booked you because he begged me to like.
Stop.
Yeah. And I'm like, he's like, and all like very soft spoken, extremely soft spoken. I was like, nice to meet you. You know what I mean? It's God. Like, and I don't even remember what I said because I think I was so,
you probably blacked out.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I'm meeting like one of my idols.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
And it was like, and then the way I kind of have a connection with, so my friend from Spain we used to be roommates with Sophie's brother, who's actually Sophie's manager.
That's crazy. Well, weren't you just saying, Zach, that Sophie's brother is the one who's running that?
Endorsed that. Well, not running, but I think endorsed.
Oh, endorsed. That. Okay, yeah.
So Sophie's brother is my good friend's former roommate.
That's crazy.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we all had a good time and we all got together, and it was really meaningful for me, definitely, to just share all these things. And we could have obviously gone on forever and ever. I mean, there were so many songs that we brought up that we just couldn't even share. I mean, it's a lot of work to put this
Do you guys have any songs that you think people should listen to off the top of your head that we didn't
check out all the S-Fire collaborations. Like, literally check out all the S-Fire collaborations. S-Fire is one of the moments where I was like, oh, holy shit, there's so much to Sophie. I literally discovered a new one today that was just like an Italo disco banger I'd never heard before. S-Fire 001. Check it out. Sophie Forever. Like, there's so much. There's Google Drive's worth of shit. They were one of the best to ever do it. I'm thankful I got to share time on this earth and watch the trajectory of a true pioneer in it. Breaks my heart that they're gone, but I'm thankful I got to witness.
Absolutely. Everything I keep thinking is just like, we're so lucky that we got what we did. And Sophie was only 34 years old. Freak accident. Was trying to go look at the full moon and fell, and that made me so angry too, because it wasn't like I couldn't even blame anything or anybody.
I would tell you, and the Pitchfork piece, actually, it in some ways the way they died, trying to look at the beauty.
Oh, it's perfect. Beauty,
it's almost magical. I don't know. It's like
mythic. You were the one who told me. So wait, so just quick aside. So when I sent you guys that they passed away, I texted Jose, not realizing you hadn't seen the message of, do you want to mask up social distance everybody, and go to the farmer's market just to make sure you were okay. And then I was in the shower and you texted me, Sophie died, and I was like, I know, check the group text. But when I stepped outside, mask on, 6 feet away, everyone. But you told me, I didn't know, and it just struck me like I felt calmer, and like it's not good or ideal, but like you said when we were talking on Saturday, like it wasn't suicide, it wasn't like a drug addiction, it was a perfectly mythic thing befitting of their entire everything they ever did. It was larger than Athens, Greece, the origin of so much of like modern civilization. Are you kidding? Like myth, truly larger than life to the very end.
It's tragic, but it's a mythic way to go.
Yeah.
I guess. So
I also just wanted to shout out, we were going to mention songs you should listen to. It's a song you probably know, Camila Cabello's Love Incredible, produced alongside Cashmere Cat, another one of my absolute favorite producers.
Oh, I didn't know Sophie produced Camila Cabello's song.
Surprise, surprise. I know. It's a really great song. So check it out.